changing the world, right? But can you set the scene for us in terms of what is meant by that and why it's become such a focus and a trend?
All righty. So I work at a creative agency. I've been in the industry for about, I am here.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a technical issue, but you can continue to speak to us. If you want, you can turn off the video because sometimes that does interfere with the network and signal and all. So it's
Okay, of course.
okay.
Let's try again.
Yes, he was speaking to us about being in the industry for 20 years and the trends that you have noticed within these 20 years.
Yes, so I guess I'm just mentioning that because um, being a veteran in the industry, you do learn a couple of things. And I think what is important to understand is that some things are seen as trends, and I don't believe that this impact marketing that we're talking about currently is only a trend. It's a way that the industry is shifting and how we're becoming more transparent and responsible. So, advertising works, or the creative industry works, in two things, or basically two things. One, to try and get attention, and the secondly, to try and get action out of somebody. So, getting consumers to either purchase or make a decision. And consumers these days are only connecting to brands or looking for more than just purchasing a brand. They are looking for that transparency and connection from brands. And the internet has also exposed a lot of business practices. And so consumers are in the space where they're demanding more from us as advertising or marketing agencies. And that means that the brands themselves have to look inwards more and figure out what is their purpose and how do they communicate that clearly.
I love that you need to look within and communicate clearly. So what is the importance of the purpose pivot? You know, maybe if you can expand on why is it important for us to ask that question?
Yeah, so purpose-led work, I think um, what I write in my articles also, it can't just be another KPI. So the point of a purpose is the definition of purpose is what's your reason for existence. So the French have this nice saying, the raison d'être, is why are you there? So businesses have to figure out what is that for themselves, and then we can only communicate it. So they need to figure out what is it within their business or their products, and why do they exist, and then start communicating that. So it can't just be one of those tick boxes. So we often get brands where they want to reach this audience, they want to sell this much of this product, and they also want to communicate their purpose. And then we go, but what is that? What is that? It needs to be sort of a commitment to who they are, and then you can only go and create a story behind that. So often those stories do exist, but they've never actually packaged it. So there's that two opposites of it. So the one is a lot of businesses know what their reasons are, and then we try and package it in a beautiful way. And then other times businesses see it as a tick box and as a KPI, and then our job is to try and ask better questions and try and unpack that a little bit better before we go to market, so that the youth can't see through us and can't poke holes into the campaigns, which they often do.
Now, how can brands and organizations truly live their purpose? And what does it mean in 2025? And why does it matter? Why is it so significant?
Um, yeah, I mean, why is it important? I think, like I mentioned earlier, that the internet exposed a lot of the business practices so people can see it, but it's also just the way we've developed as humans. We want to believe that the products we have and purchase and the brands we engage with have a positive effect, or at least not a negative impact onto the world. You know, like we are seeing what's happening all over in the world, and we want to have an impact. I think it's the principle that your choice is cumulative. Your choice and your um, partner's choice and the community has an impact. So that's why it is important. Brands, consumers are demanding it. That's the one side of things. And then, yeah, what was your second question?
No, I think what I said is that why is it significant, and what can brands or organizations ensure they do in order for them to live their purpose?
Yeah, so they, like I said, they first have to figure out what it is that they do believe in. Is it a product that they want to, is it a new product that they want to sell? Is it like an innovation potentially? Is it maybe just something that's more simple, that they care about their employees? And then we can tell the story about the employees in a nice way. Or is it their product back end story? Is it understanding that they are actually following sustainable practices and then communicating that? So one is, it's important to tell those stories because consumers are demanding it. But secondly, it's also then making sure the way you do things within your business is sustainable. And yeah, and also then that care, and we often talk about care alongside purpose, is what is it that you actually care about? Because if a leader starts talking about something that they don't really care about, you often see right through that. And it also won't be a sustainable thing. For me, it's very important. Like, impact has to be sustainable. It can't be a once off. That doesn't have any form of long. So a once off campaign often is not very effective. You might see a couple of leads, or you might see a quick shootout in terms of your stats and your data coming through. But next month it will fall flat. So you have to build on that. It has to be something that you invest in for longer than just one campaign. And that's what's very important for me at Cash, and why I called client relationship lead, not to take it back to my business, but it is important in the creative industry to build long relationships. So when people say, I've worked with this and this and this brand, it's fantastic. But for how long have you worked on that brand? Building long-term relationships is more important than ever.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Now, looking at, how is it that you can help clients, from a practical point of view? I know that you've mentioned some of them, but when clients come to you, what does Cash offer?
So I think our most important thing is that in the end of the day, we're called Cash Maker Studio. We like to make things. We still believe in the effectiveness of creativity. I really, really do believe that. So we believe that we can create authentic hooks. We can do something amazing in a different format. We can somehow grab your audience attention, and then storytelling is ultimately still the thing. I know it's that word gets used often, but especially in purpose-driven work, it is often a story. It's like how we started, then we became better, and it's that building that sort of transparent thread through that business and that brand, because every single brand has a story. So for us, it's just telling that in a nice way, and then packaging it in a way that we understand consumers. So because there's so many different formats these days, is staying on it. So we have quite young staff that understand all the different formats and know what's happening out and about. And then we try to package that stories in a beautiful, creative way. And also, like I said, is doing that not as a once-off, but reinforcing it and building that sort of long-term story as well. So you have short creative bursts, but then also wanting to walk the journey with that brand in a sustainable way.
I love it. Anine de Wet, that's the person that we've been speaking to. She's a client relational lead at Cash Studios. Please give us your social media handles and then also contact details, so anyone that's listening that's thinking, man, I want Cash Studios to represent my brand, so that they can reach out to you. Anine?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so they can just mail me at hello@cashstudio.co.za. Yeah, and they can go on our website. Everything's on there, and they can just click on that link. I'm sure they find it. So Cash, the name is a computer's memory bank, and we want people to remember brands and remember that thing. So that's where the name comes from.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anine. Wishing you nothing but blessings in the work that you do. And may you continue to represent brands, with purpose in the way that you have so far. And thank you so much for this conversation.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye. Right, family. That was Anine de Wet from Cash Studios. They're all about ensuring your brand is visible. We're going to go to a quick break. On our return, we are having a conversation with Kia. Kia speaking to us all things about the Women's Business Brunch that is coming up this Saturday. Finally, it is here.
Uplifting talk, hopeful tunes, and you. Cape Pulpit, 7 to 9 a.m.
Psalm 147 verse 11.
Psalm 147 verse 11.
But the Lord takes pleasure in